Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you all are fine and staying safe at home. Dear students, as you all know that we are in unit number 4, that is about the cells and tissues, and today is the fourth lecture of your biology. So dear students, in your previous lecture you have studied about the cell wall and about the different types of cell wall present in the different organisms. So today we are going to start with the cell membrane. So dear, as you all know that the cell membrane is also known as the plasma membrane, which is present in all the cells. The cell membrane or plasma membrane is present in all type of cells, in all the type of organism. So it is the outermost layer of the protoplasm. Here the protoplasm means the cytoplasm. Okay dears, protoplasm means the cytoplasm. So it is the outermost layer of the cytoplasm. It covers the cytoplasm, it protects, it gives shape to the cytoplasm, that the liquid content and the organelle is present in the cytoplasm do not spread in the external environment. So it is the outermost layer of the animal cell. Here it means that in animals the outermost layer of the cell is the cell membrane, while in the other organisms like the bacteria, plants, fungi and some protists, the cell membrane lies beneath the cell wall. In these organisms the cell wall is the outermost layer, and beneath the cell wall the cell membrane is present. But in animal cell the outermost layer is the cell membrane. So dear, as I have told you that it separates the cell content from their external environment. Here the cell content means the organelles and the liquid content present in the cell that are separated from the external environment, and they are not allowed to spread in the external environment. So they are kept in a proper pack. So there it is also a selectively permeable membrane. The selectively permeable membrane here means that it allows only a specific particles to pass through it. There's the cell membrane do not allow all the particles to pass through it. Like the cell wall, it will only allow the specific particles to pass through it. So it controls the exchange of materials between the cell and the environment. So here it means that the exchange of material, for example, those materials which are needed for the cell are transported into the cell with the help of the plasma membrane or cell membrane. But those who are not needed, it will not allow those materials to enter the cell. And those materials, for example, the waste products which are formed in the cell, if they are needed to excrete out, so the cell membrane will allow them to excrete out from the cell. So dears, here in this diagram you can clearly see the structure of the plant and animal cell. For example, first take the example of the plant cell. Dear, the outermost layer is the cell wall, as you can clearly see it in this picture, while beneath the cell wall a cell membrane is present. Here in the plant cell, the cell wall is the outermost layer while the cell membrane is beneath the cell wall. And in animal cell there is no cell wall present, so there is only a cell membrane present which will separate all these contents from the external environment. Okay dears, so now coming towards the cell membrane. The cell membrane layers will enable the cell to form separate compartments within the cell in which the specialized metabolic processes such as photosynthesis and aerobic respiration can take place. Now dear, what is meant by this sentence? So you can take the example of the animal and plant cells both, because dears, now what is meant by the separate compartments? Here the separate compartment means the separate flats or the separate rooms. So you can clearly see it in this cell. Different compartments are present. For example, the endoplasmic reticulum, the mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, okay, ribosomes, microtubules. All these compartments are present in a cell. So in a cell, a separate compartments are present for a different metabolism processes. Here the example of photosynthesis and respiration is given. So we all know that in a mitochondria, why is mitochondria known as the powerhouse of the cell? Because in the mitochondria the process of respiration takes place, and when the process of respiration takes place, so as a result of the respiration the energy is released. Here's what happens in respiration. The glucose is broken down and the glucose is converted into the carbon dioxide, water, and the energy is released. So dears, the energy is released during the mitochondria, the process of respiration occurring in the mitochondria. So in this compartment a special metabolic process is occurring, which is the respiration, in which the energy is also releasing, and that energy is in the form of ATP, which is given to all the compartments, to all the organelles of the cell, or to all the cell, clear, to the complete cell, which will enable it to perform the functions properly. So in each and every cell there are different compartments, different rooms, which will perform their specific function. Here you can take the example of a plant cell for the photosynthesis, dears. As you all know that in the plant cell the chloroplast is present. Here in this plant cell also a different compartments are present, like the vacuole membrane. That the vacuole membrane is the it is the vacuole present in the plant cell, dears. The mitochondria, the chloroplast, Golgi apparatus, Golgi vesicle, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. All these compartments are also present in the plant cell. So dears, if you can take the example of a chloroplast, what happens in the chloroplast? We all know that the chloroplast is containing a green pigment, the chlorophyll, in which the process of photosynthesis is taking place. So in this compartment a special metabolic process is occurring, which is the photosynthesis process. So in all these compartments a specific functions are occurring. So dears, the sentence means that the cells form separate compartments, form separate rooms within the cell, in which special processes are occurring, such as the photosynthesis and the aerobic respiration. So dears, it also acts as a receptor site for recognizing hormones, neurotransmitters, and other chemicals. Dear, just simply understand this sentence, that for example on the cell membrane, this is the cell membrane. So on this cell membrane different hormones, neurotransmitter, and other chemicals will be present, will be attached, and it will help in what? In receiving the signals from the external environment and will convey their message to the cell. So it will initiate the different processes. Okay dears. Now here the word neurotransmitter. Now what is meant by neurotransmitter? Dear, the word neurotransmitter means that these are those chemicals which are released by the nervous system, by the neurons, for carrying the messages, for signaling the messages to a specific place. So neurotransmitters are the chemicals which are released by the neurons, which helps in conveying the messages. So dears, and hormones are also the secretions present in our body, which are secreted by the different glands present in our body. Clear dears? For example, the growth hormone present in our body. Okay dears? So in eukaryotic cell, many organelles, for example mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum are also bonded by the cell membrane. So what happens in eukaryotic cells, dear? Different organelles, for example the mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum, they are bonded by the cell membranes. So they are also covered by a specific cell membrane. These organelles are not non-bonded membranes. Clear? Organelles, they are the bonded membrane organelles. They also have a specific cell membranes around their body. For example, here the example of, you can say take the example of this endoplasmic reticulum, for example the mitochondria. So in the mitochondria, the outermost the mitochondria is covered by a cell membrane itself. The endoplasmic reticulum outer layer is also a cell membrane. So these organelles outer layer is also covered by a cell membrane. So that's why they are known as the membrane bonded organelles. Dears, the different models have been presented to understand the structure of the cell membrane, but among all of them, the fluid mosaic model was the most acceptable model, which was proposed by a Singer and Nicholson scientist. So according to this model, dears, the cell membrane consists, now the coming towards the composition of the cell membrane, that from which components the cell membrane is formed. So the cell membrane consists of a lipid bilayer. Now what is meant by bilayer? Bi means two, so it means that a cell membrane consists of two layers of lipids in which the protein molecules float, means that the upper and lower layer is the lipid, and in between the lipid the protein molecules will be floating, while some will be embedded in a bilayers. Embedded means it will attach to the lipid bilayers. Now you can also clearly see its diagram, and I will understand you from the diagram. So the carbohydrate molecules are joined with the proteins in the form of glycoproteins or with lipids in the form of glycolipids. Now dear, what is meant by this sentence? So just simply understand this, that the composition of cell membrane is that it consists of the lipids, proteins and the carbohydrates. The cell membrane consists of lipids, proteins and the glucose, carbohydrates. Clear dears? Now as you can clearly see in this diagram, this one is the outer layer, upper layer, and this one is the lower layer. So these two layers are of the lipids. They are made up of the lipid. So that's why it is known as the lipid bilayer. And in between the lipid bilayer, the proteins will also be present over here. They will be floating, while some proteins will be embedded like that, will be attached to the lipids, as you can clearly see it in this diagram. Okay dears, you can also take the example of this one. So dears, so this is the structure of the cell membrane, in which these two are the layers of the lipids, in which in between the lipid layer the proteins are floating, while some are embedded, some are attached, as you can clearly see it, this green one and this yellow one. So dear, the carbohydrate is also present in the cell membrane. So if the carbohydrate is attached to the lipid, so that will be in the form of a glycolipid. And if the carbohydrate is attached with the protein, so it will be in the form of a glycoprotein. I hope this structure will be clear to you now. So now dears, coming towards the next, that is the cytoplasm. Now dears, we have studied about the cell membrane, which is the outermost layer, and in between the cell membrane what is present? A cytoplasm is present, and which as we have studied it, that the cell membrane separates the cell contents. So the cell content, it comes under the cytoplasm, because in the cytoplasm all the liquid, all the living and all the soluble and insoluble components are present. Sorry dears. So in cytoplasm dears, cytoplasm, what is meant by cytoplasm dear? Here the cytoplasm is derived from two words. The cyto means cell and the plasm means the fluid, the liquid. Clear? So it is an aqueous substance, and it contains a variety of cell organelles and other substances like the waste and the storage products. Dear, the cytoplasm, it is an aqueous substance because its name indicates that it is containing an aqueous substance containing a variety of cell organelles and other substances. So it is present between the cell membrane and the nuclear membrane. Dear, as I have told you here in this diagram, for example, this is the cell membrane and this one is the nucleus. So the nucleus is also covered by a nuclear membrane, as we all know that. So the cytoplasm is present in between the cell membrane and the nuclear membrane. So here the content which you are seeing over here, that is the cytoplasm, in which the different organelles are also embedded. Okay dears. So the cytoplasm basically has two parts, that is the soluble and insoluble part. So now what is the soluble part of the cytoplasm? So about 70% water and forms a solution which contains all the fundamental biochemicals of life. Now dears, what is meant by biochemicals? Bio means life and chemicals means chemicals. So those chemicals which are present in the living organism. For example, in our body, the carbon, nitrogen, and hydrogen are present. So these are the biochemical or the bioelements. Clear, dears? You have clearly studied in the unit number 1. These are the bioelements. Clear? So the soluble part of the cytoplasm is the water and the biochemical or the bioelements, while the insoluble part is the organelles. So the insoluble part of the cell is the organelles, which will provide the chemicals, site and conditions for various biochemical activities. Now we will study about different organelles, so you will clearly understand about the various biochemical activities. Here the bio means life, chemical means the chemical, and activities are the function or the activities which are occurring in our body, which are occurring in our cells. So different activities are occurring in our cells because they need to stay alive, and if the cells do not stay alive, so the organism will not be able to stay alive. So dears, now coming towards the organelle, that is the endoplasmic reticulum. So it is a system of membranes found throughout the cell. It is present throughout the cell, as I have told you in this animal and plant cell, dears. So these membranes form a series of sheets which encloses flattened sacs called cisternae. Now dears, as you can clearly see it in this picture, it is in the form of stacks. It is in the form of stacks, dears. They are attached to the nucleus, that is the nucleus. Clear, dears? This is the nuclear membrane to which the endoplasmic reticulum is attached, and there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum, dears: the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. We will now study about its difference, that why it is known as the rough and why it is known as the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So dear, it is present throughout the cell, and it is in the form of, as you can see, it is in the form of stacks. Like, just follow this arrow, this pointer, that it is in the form of sacs, and these sacs are known as the cisternae. These sacs are known as the cisternae, as the cisternal spaces are the spaces present in between these spaces. Clear, dears? The cisternae is the flattened sacs, and the space between these cisternae are the cisternal spaces. Okay, so dear, the main function of the endoplasmic reticulum is to transport the materials, and there are of two types of endoplasmic reticulum, that is the smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now dear, why the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is known as the smooth? Because it is non-granular, as the ribosomes are not attached to it. Clear, dears? In the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, you can clearly see the ribosomes are not attached. The ribosomes are not attached to the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. That's why it is known as the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So dears, the function of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is that it plays an important role in the lipid formation and the transportation of materials. It helps in the transport of different materials from one place to the another place, and in the formation of lipids. So the lipids are formed with the help of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now dear, coming towards the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So we say that it is granular because the granules are attached, and these granules are the ribosomes. The granules, the dots which you are seeing over here, these are the ribosomes which are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. So the function of this is what? The ribosome is responsible for the protein synthesis. We all know that. So it helps in the protein synthesis, and the function is to transport the materials from inside nucleus to the cytoplasm, and from the cytoplasm to the nucleus. Dears, as I have told you that this is the nucleus to which the endoplasmic reticulum is attached, and here you can see that the rough endoplasmic reticulum is attached to the nucleus. So the different materials are transported from the cytoplasm to the nucleus, and from the nucleus to the cytoplasm. Clear? So this transportation of material from the nucleus to cytoplasm and from the cytoplasm to nucleus is done with the help of the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, dears. So now coming towards the next organelle, that is about the Golgi apparatus. So dears, it is also a set of flattened sacs, as you can clearly see it in this diagram. So it is a set of flattened sacs. These are the sacs, and these sacs are known as the cisternae, while these sacs are stacked together with one another. These sacs are stacked with one another, and each and every sac is known as the cisternae. Now dears, the name of the Golgi apparatus is given to it after its discoverer, that is the Camillo Golgi. So Camillo Golgi discovered this organelle, and on behalf of this the name is given to it. So the function of the Golgi apparatus is to store the secretions, convert them into finished products, pack them into small rounded sacs called the Golgi vesicles. Now what is meant by this thing? So as you can clearly see it in this picture, these are the vesicles present in the Golgi apparatus. So those waste secretions which are secreted by the different organelles, the waste product of the different organelles, clear dears, those secretions are then stored by the Golgi apparatus, and when it is stored, so that stored secretion are then converted into these sacs, into this vesicle. As you can clearly see that the vesicles are forming from the end of the Golgi apparatus. So these vesicles form in which the secretion, in which the finished product or the waste products are present, and then these sacs, these vesicles are placed in the cell for a specific time, and when it is needed, so they are excreted to the exterior of the cell. So the plant cell have a large number of sacs in their Golgi apparatus than the animal cell. These sacs are present in a larger number in the animal cells than these sacs are present in a larger number in the plant cell than the animal cells. Okay dears, your another organelle is about the mitochondria, which is the most important organelle because it is known as the powerhouse of the cell. And why it is known as the powerhouse of the cell? Because first let me tell you that in prokaryotes the mitochondria are absent. Now we all know that prokaryotes are those which do not have a membrane bonded organelles, and mitochondria is a membrane bonded organelle, and the prokaryote also don't have the nucleus. Clear dears? So in prokaryotes the mitochondria is absent because the mitochondria is a membrane bonded organelles. So now you will question me that in prokaryotes how the energy will be produced. So the energy which is required in the prokaryotic organism, that is produced by the anaerobic respiration or by the mesosomes. Clear dears? Now the mesosomes are the organelles present in the prokaryotic organisms which is responsible for the production of energy. Now dears, so the mitochondria is found in the eukaryotic cells. It is bonded by a double membrane. So the mitochondria is covered by a membrane. Now we will clearly see it in this diagram. So the outer membrane is smooth while the inner one is folded. Now let me show you the diagram. As you can clearly see it in this diagram, so it is having two membranes, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. So the outer membrane is smooth. You can clearly see it. The outer membrane is smooth, while the inner membrane have some foldings, some inwards like foldings, like you can see it. The inner membrane is folded inwards, while the outer membrane is smooth. So we say that the mitochondria are found in eukaryotic and they are bonded by a double membrane. The outer one is smooth while the inner one is folded. Clear? And these foldings are known as the cristae. These foldings are known as the cristae, dears. Okay dears, these foldings are known as the cristae. So now what is the function of cristae? This cristae increases the surface area for the respiration, for the respiratory process, for the aerobic respiration which is occurring in this mitochondria. As I have told you that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Okay, it produces the energy and give it to all the contents to all the cell. Clear dears? So if the energy is releasing, so it means that the respiration process will be occurring here, because we know that as a result of respiration the energy is releasing. So this crystal increases the surface area. The place of respiration process is increased with the help of these crystals, because if they are placed in a straight line, so they will not be in a much larger amount, or there will be no much space for the respiration. While if it is present in this folding, in the form of folding, so here the space for the respiration is enough. So this crystal increases the surface area on which the respiration process takes place. So that's why, because of this, the mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell, because it carries out the respiration. Yes, I am telling you, on this crystal the process of respiration is occurring, and if the process of respiration is occurring, so it means that the energy will be released, and that energy is in the form of ATP, because we know that in respiration, the glucose molecule is broken down. As a result, the product is carbon dioxide, water, and ATP energy is released. So the energy is in the form of ATP, which is utilized by the cells or by the living organisms. Okay, dears. Now coming towards the next organelle, that is about the ribosomes. So dears, these are the tiny granules present in the cell, and they are formed in the nucleolus and either freely dispersed in the cytoplasm or attached with the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Here they are formed in the nucleolus and they are freely dispersed in the cytoplasm, or sometimes they are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, that is with the type of the rough endoplasmic reticulum, clear, which helps in the process of protein synthesis. So dears, a ribosome is made of almost equal amount of proteins and a ribosomal RNA. Dears, the ribosomes are not bound by membranes, they are non-membrane bounded, so that because of that they are also present in the prokaryotic organisms. If they are bounded by a membrane, so they will not be present in the prokaryotic, but they are not bounded by a membrane, so that's why they are found in the prokaryotic as well. So the eukaryotic ribosomes are larger than the prokaryotic ribosomes, and it is involved in the protein synthesis. It initiates the process of protein synthesis. Okay dears, the ribosomes consist of two subunits, that is the larger and the smaller subunits. As you can clearly see it, that one is the larger subunit and this one is the smaller subunit. These two are attached with each other and they form a ribosome. Okay, a single ribosome. Here it is a single ribosome. Dears, here it is a single ribosomes which is composed of a larger and smaller subunits. Okay dears, I hope you all will understand this lecture clearly and there will be no problem. Okay dears, thank you so much. Stay safe, stay home. Allah Hafiz.